The trial of the van attack perpetrator Alec Manassian, who has admitted to killing 10 people and injuring 16 others in a 2018 spree down Yonge Street sidewalks. It continues this week. CityNews reporter Adrian Ghobrial has been covering this case every day. Joins me now this morning. Adrian, there is a lot to talk about here, and I want to begin first with what we're expected to hear today. Good morning.
Good morning, Mel. Yeah, this morning we are expected to hear the defense call expert witness Dr. John Bradford to the stand. He's a forensic psychiatrist who spent many days with Alec Manassian, sitting down, assessing him in the months following the horrible attack on Yonge Street. Dr. Bradford, I'll get to it in a moment, but Manassian told Dr. Bradford some conflicting stories, which presents an interesting case and an interesting argument, especially for the Crown. Last week we heard from Dr. Rebecca Chohan, another expert witness called by the defense. She also similarly sat down and assessed Alec Manassian. Dr. Bradford actually brought her on as a second opinion, and she found that she felt that Alec Manassian had an issue really kind of comprehending the consequences of his actions while he understood them at a basic level. She said she felt he had an issue understanding some of the morals behind what he did at a complex level. Now, on Friday, also some interesting news. There was no witnesses called to the stand on Friday, but there was just an argument of motions, which generally isn't really that newsworthy. But we did hear something unprecedented come out of the courts. Justice Malloy is basically, she's going to be sealing up further video and audio of another interview that was done by a defense doctor. Now, this doctor, his name's Dr. Westfall. He's a forensic psychiatrist from Yale in the U.S., and he said that he would refuse to come and testify at this trial if his audio and video of his assessment of Manassian was released to the public. He feels that it's dangerous. It could be used by someone else in the future to motivate them to carry out a similar attack. So Justice Malloy hasn't even seen this video or audio, and she's agreed to seal it so that he will come and testify. Now, journalists will be able to view it here at 315 Front Street West when Dr. Westfall comes and testifies in the days and weeks ahead.
Adrian, one of the bigger questions that a lot of people had, there was speculation when we first heard about this case in 2018, is the motivations behind Alec Manassian's actions. And we are learning a little bit more, as we did last week, but what are you learning?
Yeah, really a lot of this revolves around him not being, his argument is that he's not criminally responsible, and that has to do with the fact that he has been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. It's a very controversial argument that the defense is making. It's an argument that has pretty much never been made here in Canada. Now, the defense is building up their case. I mentioned Dr. Westfall. He has this audio video. He's the one doctor who's going to say that Manassian should not be held criminally responsible. Though I also spoke with one defense attorney, Kim Schofield, who has been involved in NCR cases before, and she says if Manassian is found not criminally responsible because of his autism, it could lead future trials down a slippery slope.
If it's moving in that direction, when we have an increased number of these mass shootings and mass murders, does it provide somehow an excuse for someone to rely on that defense later? I think it's always difficult to establish NCR, maybe more so in this case, because it seems like that he was very motivated to get to the end, very motivated and directed. It's an uphill battle, shall we say.
And this battle is all sort of playing out in public, in that members of the public were able to watch some of this trial, and obviously many people are following along. And as we talked about last week, Adrian, it is taking a personal toll on a lot of people, including those reporting on it, like yourself.
Yeah, Mel, for sure. You shared your personal story about living near where the attack took place. It's definitely, for journalists and colleagues of ours, difficult to cover a trial like this. Obviously, first and foremost, though, we keep in mind the survivors and the victims' families who are being re-traumatized, essentially, by this trial. I've heard a lot from the public. Obviously, the autism argument is really a polarizing one. There's lots of people who are really angry. Autism Canada spoke out last last week, calling it horrific that they're actually trying to use autism as an argument here with this trial. I think it's also, this is an incident, Mel, that kind of robbed all of us of a sense of safety. We all have a right to walk down the street in our city safely without having to look over our shoulder. It's something that all of us do, many of us do rather, every single day. Simply walk down the street. It was a beautiful spring day that day, and something like this should have never happened. So it's really something that has stolen away some of the innocence of our city and our sense of safety. And it's obviously a trial of lots of public interest. I'll be following it again today. It kicks off at 10 a.m. I'll be tweeting along at City Adrian. You can also follow those tweets on citynews.ca. We'll have an update as well tonight on City News at 5 and 6.
All right, Adrian, appreciate your time and update on this. Thank you so much. And again, as Adrian mentioned, you can watch citynews.ca, City News at 5 and 6, and he will be live tweeting as he always does during this trial if you want to follow along.